Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the dystopian edition. And if you like dystopia, I have a new book that's coming out. I did push up the date to May 19th. That would be about 11 more days from the time I am recording this. And if you've not been on over to the website lately at synaptology.com or tlm.li/s, you can now come over here and read the whole first chapter of the book, see if it piques your interest. And you can listen to the audio preview, which is the first part of the first chapter of the book. So this guy's up here. You can jump on over here. In 1 week, I will be sending out another follow-up newsletter where we will have coupon codes and a place to pre-order the book. And then we're going to push the book out, get the pre-orders in, and I will ship those books out as soon as they get here. Note that because of the current world situations that we're about to talk about, the printing is delayed a little bit, although it will be orderable from a lot of places. Starting around the 19th, it's going to be a soft rollout. My guess is it's going to be on my store probably before that as a pre-order. It'll probably show up on Amazon right about that time, and it's going to show up in other bookstores probably 3 to 5 days after that. So head on over to the website and get more information about that. And if you have not... if you want to get some samples of it, you can now read the first chapter and listen to the first part of the first chapter. So let's go ahead and dive on into the news, shall we? What's going on in dystopia world? Apparently we have ads. There you go. So this is from CNN, and exclusive: Uber will soon require drivers to wear face coverings in the U.S. Oh man, does that mean we have to put on a face mask? All right. There we are. Now we have a face mask on. I'm not going to do that, though, because that's going to make it very hard to hear the news. This is not the green screen you're looking for. All right. That is my grapefruit mask. I love it. It smells very citrusy. So basically, as we go through, anytime Uber's now operating, they're going to require everybody to be wearing a mask. I'm really totally surprised that they haven't already done this, although it could be because their ID check system will very frequently ask the driver to verify who they are by looking into their app and getting their face scanned. So I'm guessing that they were probably working on figuring out if you're really you under that mask, or if some crazy psycho has really taken you hostage and is now driving people around town. That actually happened once. An Uber driver went mad once. I forget what city that was or state even, but he would pick up a few Uber rides, drop them off their place, go on a shooting spree, spray down several people, put the guns down, pick up a bunch more people, very courteously drive away. It was like crazy. It was crazy. But now Uber is requiring that of everybody. Now, if you're like, well, I'm not in the U.S., I'm like over here in France. Anybody from France here? I'm over here in France, and I'm not worried about all this. Well, you guys got to be really careful, because over there in France, they're using AI to check whether people are wearing masks on public transport. Now, they're saying that the technology won't be used to punish individuals, but now they are. This is just a switch away from being persecuted in a way. And so over here, we have their surveillance system is going to be looking at all the various people. They're going to be measuring the amount of folks that are actually taking advantage of this. Software already has been deployed elsewhere in the country. Elsewhere, huh? Elsewhere! Being a 3-month trial in the I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to try and butcher your cities. Station of Paris this week, reports Bloomberg. French startup Data K Lab. I don't know, whatever that is. Data KA Lab, whatever that is, which created the program, says the goal is not to identify or punish individuals who don't wear masks, but to generate anonymous statistical data that will help authorities anticipate future outbreaks. We're just measuring this one objective, they said. The goal is to publish statistics of how many people are wearing masks every day. And it's very easy, like I said, it's very easy to, down the road, just throw in the thing in there to, just kind of throw in the idea there to just start collecting the data. Why not? Why not, right? So with all that being said, what do you guys think? Is this going to be used for bad, used for good? I don't know. What do you think? UK is starting to unroll its tracking app. We'll call it the Plandemic app. UK will start testing its Plandemic tracking app this week. NHS will pilot the app on the Isle of Wight. And the thing about this one that caused a little bit of controversy is they are rejecting the Apple and Google decentralized approach. Instead, the NHS's technology group, NHSX, chose a centralized model in which the list of contacts made via Bluetooth signal will be stored on the user's devices as anonymous tokens. If a user has symptoms or tests positive, the contacts will then be submitted to the app, which analyzes the data and sends notifications if necessary. Critics say the centralized approach raises privacy concerns. Their CEO told Reuters that the group put privacy right at the heart. What does that even mean? Privacy right at the heart. We're not going to abuse this data. Yeah, but your low-level paid employee who paid $500 by an Indian hacker will. The hacker who just kind of figures out the security vulnerability gets in, because we all know government is very well competent to maintain their connections. All right, he explained that the app doesn't know who users are, where they are, or who they've been near. Britain's Information Commissioner pointed out that the centralized approach will allow UK to gather more insights into the pandemic, something a decentralized approach might limit. So they're doing it to collect more data on what's going on. So that is what we see over there. And on to our last article that I want to spend quite a bit of time on. Now, this is from the Wall Street Journal, so I had a friend send me the text of the article here. So with this, I mean, hey, I turn off the ad blocker and show the video over here, but Wall Street Journal, sometimes they let you see the article, sometimes they don't. In this case, they didn't. So, welcome back to the office. Your every move will be watched. This is the nightmare dystopia that's not being pushed in the levels in China. This is being pushed here in the United States. And this is what we have to be careful of, that it's not, though, the government is not the ultimate arbiter of the insanity, it's the technocrats and the companies. And that's always been the thing we're at the most risk from, because we have this turnkey thing where the government can't get the data directly from you, but they can get it from a third-party source. So are we 1984, the government oppression, or are we Brave New World, where we've bought into it for the conveniences of our lives and the joys and the pleasures in our lives? And in this case, what we're starting to see is it's somewhere in between. It's like forced on you, because sure, you could choose not to, but if you were to choose not to, I'm sorry, you just have to collect money on the government dime, and even they're probably going to be tracking you as well. Because what's going to happen is you have to have a job somewhere, and if enough companies adopt these things, no matter what you do, you're going to be giving up your rights just to do the simple thing to work and support a family or just yourself. So many Americans heading back to the factory and the office as the pandemic eases will soon begin to notice that their every move is being watched or recorded. I'd say watched and or recorded. In Midtown Manhattan, thermal cameras will measure body temperatures as employees file into a 32-story office tower at Rockefeller Center. The building's owner, RXR Realty, said it is also developing a mobile app for tenants to monitor and score how closely their workers are complying with social distancing. So here's the situation. First and foremost, are these body cameras super effective? It would depend on the camera. Now, my mother works in a hospital, and she said it drove her crazy because when she showed up to work, and for a while the hospitals had to put in all these protocols, like every single time she passed by the checkpoint, she had to answer all these questions about, have you been in a crowd larger than 100? Have you had a fever? And then they had to scan the temperature. After 30 times in a single shift, passing by the exact same person, answering, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you're good. Hey, let's just check your temperature again. Why not? Every single time she left the wing and came back to the wing a minute or two later, they had to ask her the same exact questions every time. and take the temperature with a little temperature gun. So one time she's like, this is crazy. So she goes and she gets her nice hot coffee and holds it up to her forehead for about a minute and walks up and takes it down. And her forehead is very hot. And she shines across and the temperature still reads out normal. She goes, your thermostat's not working. He says, I know. It just doesn't work. I don't care. All right. But they had to use the temperature. Every time somebody came by, they had to have a record of the temperature from the temperature gun. And that's kind of what they're doing here. So every person who comes in, so we have a big company-owned building. Inside the building is a series of tenants who are businesses, and the tenants have employees. So now the realtor is making sure that everybody who comes into the building is scanned for their temperature, but they're also going to be requiring the tenants to push out an app to all their employees so that the app can determine if you're close enough to other people and not socially distancing, which, by the way, is newspeak. Newspeak. How do you be social and be distant at the same time? Peace is war. War is peace. Come on. Come on. All right. So in this, he says how closely they're complying. Let's see. PricewaterhouseCoopers, that is too many people have bought and sold that company. LLP said it's preparing to launch this month a phone app for employers that traces contacts by analyzing workers' interactions in the office. More than 50 clients have expressed interest, including some of the nation's biggest banks, manufacturers, and energy companies. Of course, because they're going to be able to track everything that you do. Advertising agent, Interpublic group of, I'm going to call that chaos. It's cost, but is exploring dividing its 22,000 U.S. employees into 3 separate groups according to perceived health risks. Oh boy, which could include age. Oh, you older folkies, you're a high-risk groups. Workers could be asked to disclose medical and other personal information about themselves, and in some cases, family members. Family members. Oh, you have a son at home who is asthmatic? You know what? That's not your employer's business. They haven't signed off on the system yet, but it's definitely on the front burner, he says. Vigilant Protective Health Services. How much you want to bet that that's a brand stinking new company? Vigilant Protective Health Services. Let's get in on this cash. Which is advising Interpublic. Interpublic says it only began the preliminary discussions. It's a reasonable approach if you can get through the operational and some of the privacy and regulatory issues. Get through. This is business talk for, we have these regulations are standing in our way. How do we get these regulations off the books, push past them so we can push what we want regardless? That's what they're trying to do. That's why I stick by. This entire thing is happening in the purpose of pushing our rights off of us. Many office workers have become used to widespread security cameras after September 11th. Ooh. The arrival of pandemic is taking surveillance to a higher level, with some employers planning to track movements and gather personal information. All right, I'm not going to read the rest of the article. I want you to go through, but there's a lot in here about tracking the employees. There's a lot in here about some freaky stuff. Now, as one company comes out and says, yeah, we trust our employees. We don't really want to do that. We might take their temperature coming in, but that's about it. There was another one here. I'm going to find in the article, but there was another one where they're saying, hey, here's the app. You put it on your phone. Like, okay, understand. You put an app on your personal phone that your work requires you. And in the morning when you're getting ready for work, you have to sign into the app. You have to provide a facial ID to make sure it's you, and take your temperature on app and show them your temperature on the camera, and then it will be checked off by the human resources, and then they're going to give you a pass that you can come in and work for the day. Now, all you people that have been out here saying, it's conspiracy theory, man, that's like this guy here, he's just wearing himself a tinfoil hat there. All you people, understand, this has been the plan from the beginning. This is dangerous stuff. This is dangerous precedent, and we have to take a stand. Okay? Whatever happened to here in America, we can take our own risk on ourselves. We can sit down and say, I understand this is a high-risk job. This is a low-risk job. I can decide that if I want to go be on dangerous jobs and go crab fishing in the Arctic. It's a very dangerous job. If I want to sit here and do the things I'm doing now, I risk a serious case of carpal tunnel. Okay? It's carpal tunnel. I don't know why I said corporal tunnel. He's coming for me, I guess. Anyway, different jobs have different risks, and different people can choose those risks. And I don't want this surveillance state where I have to sign into an app and show you my facial ID and prove that it's me and take my temperature so you can give me a pass to let me come to work today. This is insane. This is insane. And if we don't start pushing back, then these corporatists up here who are trying to push through the privacy regulations, that these are things, if you can get through the operational and some of the privacy and regulatory issues, this would be great. No, tell these fools you can't have it. These are for us. These are for us. We are in dystopia. Welcome to dystopia. We are letting fear push us in that direction, and we should not be doing that, people. We should not be doing that. Let me know your thoughts on this and the other articles in the comments down below.